All right, everyone, welcome back to episode 87 of the Hops and Bops podcast. I am producer Tom.
I'm Joe.
That's right. We lost Mike. I don't know where he went. He slipped and fell on a banana peel, and he's sliding away somewhere.
He's probably on the run from something. I don't know.
It's definitely it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But Joe and I are here for a couple episodes to talk about a few EPs that I think are pretty interesting. And the first one is Joe's pairing. The first one is GNR Lies by Guns N' Roses, the 1988 release. And to pair with that, we have the one and only Fat Tire is an amber ale from New Belgium.
Yes, amber, red, roses. You know.
Oh, I didn't even catch that pairing.
Yes,
good for you.
Yes, I try.
So Joe got the bottle, I got the can.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will be any tasting differences in there. I don't think there will, but could be.
We shall see.
Regardless, I'm gonna crack her open.
Yeah. A less exciting bottle.
Yeah, mine says carbon neutral for the planet. So
okay. Same here.
Oh, okay. Good.
1%
Carbon neutral certified.
Member. Yep. Very good. Yeah. So Fat Tire. This is from New Belgium Brewery in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a classic amber ale, red ale. I remember we did Naughty Nurse from City Steam. Thank you. And yeah, this is like under the same realm as that. And because we're virtual, I wanted to find something that was readily accessible for us so we can both drink. But according to newbelgium.com, Fat Tire was born on a bike when our co-founder pedaled his way through Europe, sampling beer along the way. The tires on his mountain bike garnered glances and comments that inspired the name of a craft beer icon. So he must have been riding one of those bikes with the fatter tires, for mountains. Mm-hmm. The flavor profiles he discovered on that ride sparked the recipe for a beer he would begin to brew in his Colorado basement. Fat Tire's unique flavor profile originates from 1930s Belgium. During this era, small breweries began offering easy drinking beer crafted with signature Belgian yeast in order to satisfy the tastes of visiting British soldiers. Today, Fat Tire delivers drinkers everywhere a flavorful, balanced beer with a fresh herbal hop profile, fine malt presence, and a touch of fruity yeast, making it a timeless beer with broad appeal.
I didn't know this had so much history behind it. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I think they recently kind of rebranded, They went to a more simplistic labeling, even for their other beers too. And I kind of like it. I like the basic look. It really jumps off the shelf and you know what you're getting,
Of course. Yeah.
There's something to be said when it's simple like that.
Yep.
5.2%. We have Willamette Goldings and Nugget hops. We haven't really talked about those at all.
Nugget hops.
Yeah.
It's gonna be chunky.
I hope not. All right. So Fat Tire. Let's do it.
That's right. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. I mean, it's just a good classic beer.
Yeah.
I like these amber ales once in a while,
Yeah. So I had a story about Fat Tire that I want to bring up. It's not really much of a story, but this is the first real beer that I've ever had.
Okay.
I remember we were doing some demo stuff on Taco's house, our friend Taco. We were tearing up his floor and making his house nice. Yeah. And I must have been 19 or so. I don't remember when it was, but we had some beers and he gave me a Fat Tire. It might have been Mike. Mike was there too.
Yeah.
And he gave me a Fat Tire and I fucking hated it. It was not good. But that's because I hadn't really adjusted myself to these styles of beers, I'd never had an IPA. I've never had, any kind of amber ale at all. And this was really my first jump into this whole world of newer style beers. It was also a little warm too. I think that might have been a whole part of it too. And I think he also had a bit of asbestos in his like tile in his kitchen. And so I was having a bad time because no one told me about that. And I was like, oh. So the whole day I was going like this, trying to like clean stuff up.
No masks back then.
No.
Little
And
fat
so,
tire with the side of asbestos.
yeah, it's the pairing notes really.
Oh yeah, yeah. It really sits well on the tongue. Good mouthfeel. That's funny. Yeah,
But now that
funny.
I've had it,
yeah,
now that I'm having it now, it's a different taste. I mean, obviously, I still remember those same like styles hitting me at the time, but I think now that I've had all these other types of experiences with you know, ales and all these other kind of beers, I can appreciate it from a different perspective. And it's good. It's not something like, you know, like we say in the show, like you could crush a 6-pack of, in my opinion, at least. But it's good, and it's got that history for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
So I completely understand why people really go crazy over it.
Yep. I mean, once you've had this style of beer, like once you've had one of them, you've pretty much had all of them. You know, they all kind of taste the same. Like this is, you know, you can pour this and Naughty Nurse side by side, and you know, it's not a bad thing. It's just that style of beer. But I like it. Sometimes I do like to grab this beer for like a party or something instead of IPAs all the time, and it's just a different taste, and it's one that I like. And yeah, it's good. It's funny though, when I bought the 6-pack the other day, the kid at the register, he said, "Oh, buying some tires." That was my first beer I ever drank. So it's funny that you said the same thing too.
Oh,
Just
that's
have
funny.
that reputation.
It wasn't like the first alcoholic drink I ever had, but it was the first like real beer that I've ever had.
Not like Natty Light or, you know.
No, I don't even remember what my first one was. I know my first legal drink was a Bud Light Lime. Like the clock struck midnight. I was already halfway into one.
What's the first drink you want to drink when you're legal?
It was not
BLL, baby.
It was not on purpose, but regardless, Fat Tire is my first real beer that I had a full one of. And at the time I did not like it, but now I can appreciate it from another angle. And it's definitely grown on me over, you know, however many years it's been since we demoed that floor.
Good shit. Asbestos and all.
It's like salt on the rim, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Oh,
taco sauce.
That probably explains a lot of what's going on with me up here now. So yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Joe, tell me a little bit about 𝙁𝙁𝙠𝙍.
Sure. I mean, yeah. So so we were trying to figure out, like, you know, we're going through some scheduling things with all of us, and you know, Mike's busy, I've been busy, and Tom's been holding down the fort, but he's working now. So, you know, Tom and I are doing these episodes, and we're like, let's do a couple EP episodes, keep it straightforward. And I was trying to think of an EP to pick, and I mean, the first EP I always think of is by Foo Fighters. I just don't want to do another Foo Fighter thing. I feel like
down the road we can circle back.
Yeah, we'll circle back for sure, because it is really good. It's called Saint Cecilia. I love it. But anyway, I was trying to think of other ones to go with, and I was really struggling until it dawned on me that Guns N' Roses put out one in between Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. But upon reading, I guess it's considered an album. It's not really an EP. Like Wikipedia says it's their second album, but I read a little further. The first 4 tracks are live tracks. I guess was from like a live release called like Live Shit or something like that. And then the second 4 tracks are actually the Lies EP. So they just put it together. So it is 8 tracks, released in 1988. And I really did not have much experience with it until now. After choosing it, the album I always think of with Guns is Appetite. That thing it's a great album. You know, if you like 80s rock and it's not really hair metal, it's kind of on that cusp you know, it's pre-grunge. You know, we always talk about post-grunge. You know, they're kind of pre-grunge, but this is kind of in between there. And the first 4 tracks were live, as I mentioned, and I think one of them, at least one of them, was a cover, which we'll get to. And then the second 4 were all acoustic songs, so it wasn't really, you know, Slash wailing away with solos. It was kind of a scaled back, unplugged version of the band, which was kind of cool. But yeah, like I said, didn't really have much experience with the album until now. I know it has a very controversial track at the end.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah, right. And that's, you know, especially today and age, it's not really acceptable at all. But I mean,
we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So I'm forgetting my routine here. I'm so rusty. I'm like, okay,
okay.
Play the album in my headphones now.
That's okay. I can talk about it a little bit.
Go ahead.
What a weird like track list lineup, because
and
especially after Appetite for Destruction came out, because that was their first album, and they put out this, which is kind of like 2 EPs combined into a full-length album. Even though, like I was saying before the stream, or before this recording started, I was saying to Joe, this isn't really an EP. It's 33 minutes, I think. Let me see. It's over. Yeah, 33:24. So it's kind of the length of like a short album. Like if you listen to the triple album episode I did, where I did 3 albums, they were all like 34, 35, 36 minutes in length. So, and I think that's a good length for, you know, a standard album. But this isn't your standard album. This is half of it are all live songs, and then the other half are all acoustic songs that I think are they original? Because you said there was a cover in there somewhere, right? Or is that the live?
One of the live songs was a cover. And so the first 4 tracks consist of previously released EP, Live Shit Like a Suicide, or live, I don't know, they like censor out the curse word. It's like symbols.
But just a strange way to line up an album like that. And you wonder if it's got to be, I think it's something on the studio end, because, you know, artists during the time probably were okay with putting out like 4-track little mini things, but maybe a studio's like, no, you got to bump that up and put something else on there so we can push it as a full album. We can get more, you know, playtime on radio or whatever you want to call it. And I wonder if that kind of influenced the making of this. I'm not entirely sure, but
I don't know. Because you know, with it being live songs, and they're not even like well known, so it's not like a live album. It's like live rarities, and then the last 4 songs are brand new for the time, like previously unreleased acoustic songs that they recorded in only like a few studio sessions. And then they just like smashed them together, and here you go. Here's GNR Lies. So yeah, it was, like you were saying, it is kind of like a weird release to release after, you know, such a huge album like Appetite, and then before another huge double release, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I don't know, maybe they were just looking to put out something. But it's not even like Appetite and Use Your Illusion were released that far apart. I think it was like 87 and 91. Yeah, 87 and 91. So it's not like terribly far apart. I don't know. It's just an odd release, and it's just one of those, you know, shorter album / EPs out there that I just thought of first, and I was like, let's do it. Let's see what it's about. I kind of wanted to learn more about it. So what better way to learn than talk about it and listen.
Exactly. Yeah. Also a weird stylistic choice is to put GNR in the album title instead of just calling it Lies. They call it GNR Lies. So I don't know why that was a thing. Maybe they're trying to popularize GNR as an acronym for Guns N' Roses, but
could be. I know the title and the album cover were kind of like a play on like the tabloid, you know, prominence back then. Just, you know, the shocking headlines and all that. So it was kind of like a play on that.
Yeah.
But looks like an old newspaper. But let's get into some tracks.
Sure. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So it begins with a song called Reckless Life. Again, so this is one of the 4 live songs. I thought it began with like a great punch. You know, I never really heard them live other than like random videos, like watching old VH1 shows or anything. But because I never heard this song, I was like, okay, let's see, you know, how they sound on an unfamiliar song. And I actually kind of liked it. And I was surprised at how good. Okay, good is a loose term.
Good is an illusion.
Yeah.
Good is a state of mind.
Axl Rose, I don't know how he sings that way. It is such a bizarre voice, singing voice. I don't know how the hell he does it. But what I'm saying is what he sounds like on the album versus live, like he actually sounds like the studio. So sometimes when singers sing live, they're like really strained and just don't sound good. Like he sounds like shit now because he's old and all that. But back then, like he kind of held form, which was pretty impressive. I didn't think he sounded, you know, that good like him on a studio album live. But yeah, I like this song. It was fast paced. It was aggressive. It had a great like full band intro, and it carried through the same way throughout the song. And I thought it kicked off the EP pretty well.
Yeah, I would say it's probably my favorite out of the live tracks. I know, I agree, it does kick off the album pretty well.
Yeah.
And I agree, I'm not a huge fan of Axl Rose's vocal styles, but the fact that he can hit those crazy notes and then also do it live is something to, you know, be proud of, I guess.
Yeah.
I like the mixing on it as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of live albums where it just kind of sounds like intro is just band cheer or is just crowd cheering, regular sounding track ends with crowd cheering, but you can kind of hear the imperfections a little bit here and there. And I think they left it in on purpose. Even in the intro, you can still hear people going nuts in the audience. And I think it worked out pretty well. So, and it had that fiery feeling too that carried throughout most of the track.
Definitely. And, you know, throughout the first 4 tracks, I thought the band sounded pretty level. Like you could hear everyone, and like the drums were really punchy. The bass drum sounded great. And, but it had a good mix between the raw and the leveled and touched, you know, produced.
And especially at the time, like I know Appetite for Destruction kind of went crazy. But this, I'm assuming it was pretty still early in their career, so I don't know how famous they were at the time. And so to get this crisp of a live recording this early in your career, even in the late 80s where live recordings weren't necessarily, you know, top notch or whatever, pretty decent. So yeah, that was a good moment as well.
For sure. I'm trying to look up where
they were performed.
Yes, where they were performing.
I do have the Guns N' Roses Wikipedia pulled up right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm pulling up the page about the 4-track EP, which is the live songs. It's called Live Like a Suicide, or Live Shit Like a Suicide. I don't know what the swear word's supposed to be anyway, but apparently it was a faux live recording with overdubbed crowd noise.
Really?
These are in fact studio performances. So here we are. They fooled us.
Well, that explains why it was so good.
Yeah, right.
Because it wasn't live.
Exactly. It does sound live because, you know, it's not tracked. You know, you can definitely tell they're playing together at the same time.
I was gonna say the recording quality was so good. Why is it so live?
I feel like an idiot. Oh my God.
Well, that explains it.
Yep. So I know we have other songs, but Reckless Life, the first song, still was originally written by Hollywood Rose, which was a group that had all the members of Guns N' Roses except the bassist Duff McKagan. So Guns N' Roses is kind of like an LA supergroup of sorts. You had Hollywood Rose and then LA Guns, and members from each band kind of joined together and formed Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
So this was a Hollywood Rose song, which was the whole band except the bassist. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, next track we have Nice Boys. Another decent track, fast paced. I thought it was maybe a little more sloppy.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought that it was still good track. I thought it was performed decently, but I thought it was a little repetitive over time.
Yeah.
When he keeps saying nice boys don't play rock and roll over and over and over again. I was like, okay, I've heard it. Definitely. I can kind of understand what point you're getting across.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, nothing really to write home about. I mean,
yep.
Slash, great solos again. I mean, he's a great guitarist. He's definitely one of the top for me. Even for like stage presence too. He's just kind of a go-to guy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, all of them have fantastic stage presence, which you kind of needed at that time too.
And then after that we have a song called Move to the City.
To the city.
I thought the song had very heavy Aerosmith vibes.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge Guns N' Roses guy. I know other people are. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I legitimately thought that Steven Tyler was the head of Guns N' Roses until you said Axl Rose, and I was like, oh fuck, you're right. Because I was gonna say, like, I don't really like Steven Tyler's voice that much. But I could definitely see that on this, because I'm not a huge Aerosmith guy either.
Right.
So
that's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So far in this episode, we thought that these were actual live tracks.
I'm 0 for 2.
And Steven Tyler is the lead singer and frontman.
Dude, I'm just it's the asbestos. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he's fucking you up all these years later.
I had like a Freaky Friday like brain switch of like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. But this song sounded like an 80s Aerosmith song with the horns, like when they brought in the horns, like dude looks like a lady and all that. I was thinking that maybe this was an Aerosmith cover, and I don't know if it is. But and then it also has like Alice Cooper vibes, like kind of those 80s rockers sound to it. Something I was surprised to hear from them. I didn't expect to hear the horns this earlier in the career. I know, like Use Your Illusion, they started to vary up the sound and add more like symphony stuff, but I didn't see that coming here. The song itself, I don't know.
I've got nothing bad to say about it, but it doesn't really draw me in either.
Right.
Like it sounds very much like the time that it was released, Yeah. This was a late 80s track that you'll hear on PLR now or something like that. So, it's
rocks.
99.1 PLR, Connecticut's #1 rock station. It's like, now here's Move to the City live by GNR.
Live, but not
live with Steven Tyler.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, I mean, again, another good Slash guitar solo, but nothing really to brag about. I still think, like you were saying, and I as well, Reckless Life I still think was the best out of the 4. But and then the final live song was Mama Kin, which, it was funny, track 3 I thought was maybe an Aerosmith cover because it sounded like them. This is actually an Aerosmith song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was funny how like, oh shit, they're actually playing an Aerosmith song. So it kind of like made sense in my head, you know, the sound they were kind of going for.
That's funny.
The cover, it was decent. This is where this song, Steven Adler, the drummer, he's not hitting it. Every time the cymbal hits, the groove starts on like the and. It's not on the downbeat, and he just can't. He can't hit it. Yeah, he's like off time. It's like every time it comes around, he can't hit it on where it's supposed to be, and it always bugged the shit out of me. Yeah. Like it's supposed to be off beat. It's not supposed to be on the downbeat, but it's still off from the offbeat. You know, is that?
Oh my God. I wish you didn't tell me that, because now I'm going to think about that whenever I listen to this album.
Yeah, right.
All the times after this. You
can kind of tell that he's getting sloppy because this is his last album with the band. They let him go. He was just big into drugs, and they got this other guy. Oh shit, I'm drawing it. Matt Sorum was their replacement drummer, and he was with them pretty much till the end. I think he might even drum with them now on the reunion stuff. Yeah, Steven Adler starting to lose it here. Yeah, getting sloppy. But I thought it was a decent cover. I thought they did a good job with it. They kind of upped the tempo a little bit from the Aerosmith version. I really like the Aerosmith version. It's one of my favorite Aerosmith songs.
I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah, give the drummer some slack. He was live, okay? He had to worry about being live.
Maybe he thought he was live.
He was in the mindset. It was like, okay, I gotta fuck up to make it sound more live.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that is the live section of the album. I mean, I'm not like, I mean, we've talked about, I mean, when we've done live albums in the past, I've talked about me not being the biggest fan of live albums. There are a handful that I really, really like, but if there's a version that's a studio version, I usually tend to go towards that because it's a bit more polished, but more gussied up. I mean, every now and then you do want to listen to a live because you get that energy of being there, but I mean, it is what it is. So I'm not gonna dock points because they're live or anything. But
no, right. And like we said, it's just an odd collection of songs. It's 4 fake live songs and 4, you know, half-ass recorded acoustic songs. It's just like a weird combination.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I always like with live albums, I'll give them a shot, and I like to see how bands, you know, translate over to live when they're not tracking, and you know, maybe the singer can't really hold up live. So it's interesting to see. But the next song, so for the first of the 4 acoustic songs, is Patience. I mean, this is the single off the album. This is one of their most popular songs. I really like this song. I'm pretty sure, this is my favorite song off the album. And, you know, I know it's probably a cop-out because it's the one and only one single, but I always liked the, you know, composition of it and the arrangement of it. It was a good balance of what they did on Appetite, which was just the arena rock, you know, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City. I mean, the big 3 right there. And this was kind of the opposite of that, and it showed what else they could do. I thought that, you know, Axl's voice was good. He actually didn't like his voice on these 4 studio songs I read up on, but I thought it was good. I mean, it wasn't his usual like Axl growl, which was kind of refreshing for me.
Yeah, I would agree. Did they ever release this version, or at least this song, as like a full band, like non-acoustic song? Or is it always acoustic?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's always been an acoustic song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I think you nailed it on that. This is the only song I've heard before on this album, like previously to this entire thing. And it's great, you know, it's got that good balance of, you know, raw musicality and not just covered up with a lot of, you know, effects and, you know, other kind of gussied up stuff. Um, and actually, I will disagree with Axl Rose. I enjoy his vocals on this quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I like him in that lower register. Maybe that's just me kind of not being a huge fan of his higher pitched stuff. Sometimes it plays in well. I'm not going to harp on it too much, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think when he sounds a bit more natural and the music the music suits it too, you
Mm-hmm.
know, everything's a little bit more stripped back and kind of allows for them to be a bit more open. I think it does pair well with each other. I mean, he does get into that higher register later,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. You know, you don't have to just stick to one style. I think varying it up is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I would agree. This is probably my favorite track on the album, and it's definitely the most popular. It has like 240 million streams or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I was just reading up a little bit on the album in general, or at least the last 4 songs. They were written and recorded only in like a few studio sessions, and the
Mm-hmm.
producer called it one of the most magical rock and roll history moments. So I don't know if he's hyping up his own work or not, or whatever it
Interesting.
is, but
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, no, I really enjoyed this track. This is probably my favorite.
Yeah, me too. And like you can hear how raw it is. Like at times they're a little off time from one another, but it works. Like it works. Whereas some of the other um of the last 4 songs, it didn't really work. It really sounded shitty, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this one was always good. It had, once that main part of the song ended, you had that nice acoustic guitar solo to get out, to bring it out, and then um it has that like big finale
Yeah,
that where they like build it back up, and that's when, like you said, Axl brings it up to the higher voice, and that layering, I was always a big fan of that. It's just a great song overall. I think Mike and Joey played it recently at a
oh,
few
cool.
acoustic shows, and it sounded pretty good. It's a really good acoustic song that still stands the test of time. It's a classic song.
Yeah, and it's like it's not something I would necessarily like seek out or like
Mhm.
want to like play like around other people, but if it was on like the radio or if someone had picked it, I'm definitely vibing to it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Cool. Um,
I used to love her.
yeah, used to love her. Um, this was probably the other song that I would hear a lot. Like they play this sometimes on PLR, like if I were to listen to that once in a while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of picked up the tempo, had some actual drums in it, still acoustic though. Um, apparently this was um, written as a joke after their rhythm guitarist Izzy Stradlin disliked a song he heard on the radio featuring some guy whining about a broad who is treating him bad. Slash stated that people think it's about one of our old girlfriends, but it's actually about Axl's dog. Like they're just so fucking all over the place with their explanations. Like 80
You
sex,
have to
drugs,
like,
and rock and roll, man.
did you have to like put his dog down?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I have no idea. Um, but then later on, I guess there was controversy. It was perceived that the lyrics were misogynistic for this song.
oh, like he had to kill like his girlfriend or something, or like his wife. Like, oh, I used
Yeah.
to love her, but now I had to kill her.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, there's probably other lyrics in there too, but I didn't really do that big of a deep dive. So
Yeah. Me neither. I mean, I always liked the music of it, the instrumentals. It was kind of cool, upbeat. Um, but when you listen to the lyrics, it's like, all right, what are they really singing about?
yeah.
Maybe it's like figuratively speaking, like,
I was
I
talking
used to
about
love her,
that.
but now I don't. I
I
don't
was
know.
talking to a friend about that the other day about like a song that you really like, and then but you never really listen to the lyrics all the way, and then you kind of do that deep dive. You're like, what the fuck? Because
Yes.
there'll be tracks where it's like a great song, and they're like, oh well, she was just 16, but that doesn't mean anything, and you're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you talking about?
Right. That's how I felt with Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never
kind of
really
the opposite
knew.
effect.
Yeah, right. You know, you always just assume it's that big like arena rock song with the snare clap, you know, the big arena and you know, Born in the USA, like yeah, USA. But when you really listen to the verses, it's like anti that. And
Yeah.
I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah. People, especially politicians, would use that as their like walk-up song, or like
Yeah,
these kind of like big arena style like speeches. And then Bruce would be like, no, you can't use this, you're using it wrong. Like, it's
right,
clearly not it's a anti-American song. Well, not really,
right.
but it's just kind of pointing out other stuff. But
Yeah.
um I was talking about it was a Beatles song where he starts off with "She was just 17," if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
And I was like, what? I never really thought about it, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I mean, well, later in the album, we'll come back to the same issue of lyrics being kind of weird. But
Agreed.
mhm.
Cliffhanger. Mhm.
Yeah, another thing about "Used to Love Her," I thought this sounded like a oh, who's the artist? Tom Petty almost.
Okay.
Because I think it's just because it's 80s or late 80s, around that style,
Hmm.
kind of more of an acoustic driven sound to him. And maybe it's not just Tom Petty, but at least his contemporaries. It sounded like a shot for shot version of one of his tracks, and that's
Hmm.
not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it was as good as Patience.
Right. Yeah, it kind of had that folky, like group vocal, like
Yeah, I think that's part of it too.
feel good, even though the lyrics weren't, you know, that feel good. But I know exactly what you mean. Like, yeah, I think Tom Petty is a good
Hmm.
connection
Comparison. Yeah.
comparison. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It wasn't a terrible track either, but
Yeah, wasn't bad.
yeah.
Um,
Um, then
you're crazy.
this one was pretty good too.
Yeah.
There was a significantly faster version on Appetite for Destruction.
Hmm. I saw that as
I have
well.
not listened to that.
Me neither. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Ooh, a blind reaction to
Yes.
the original "You're Crazy."
Yes.
Let's do it.
Boom.
Starting now. Where is it?
Oh yeah, it's like double time punk rock. I mean, I'm sure I've heard this because I've listened to this album, you know, plenty of times. But you know, sometimes when you're listening to a new album for yourself, you're not really paying attention to like the track names. You just kind of let it play. So
I've been doing that a lot recently,
yeah,
where I just put my phone down and listen to an album fresh,
yeah,
like from start to finish, and I don't even like. I'll think of the musical idea, but not pair that to a name of a track.
right,
And I think even on this one too, where especially it's such a weird track listing to begin with,
hmm,
it's easy to like miss out on that detail.
right,
But now that I have listened to the original "You're Crazy," I kind of prefer the original "You're Crazy," but I think
okay,
that just might be my musical style. I kind of
yep,
like that heavy punky-ish sound to it.
yeah,
But I mean, they both have their merits. I think they're both good songs in their own right.
yeah, definitely. I actually kind of feel not the opposite, but very differently. It almost makes me like this acoustic version more, because the acoustic version kind of has like a bluesy kind of twang to it, which is completely different from the original, which is like we said, that double time punk rock, fast, aggressive. And it just shows how like they completely revamped an existing song and made it sound like a different song.
Yeah.
um I thought that was kind of cool. Like this one was kind of a little sloppy for me. But now I don't know, I have more respect for it. Interesting.
The song kind of reminds me of well, yeah, yeah, fuck so good, I might used to it when I'm drunk. What's
Buck
that
Cherry,
song?
Crazy Bitch.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely, you know, derivative of Guns N' Roses. Like that's kind of, that was that branch that they made. That was the avenue that, you know, Guns N'
What band was
Roses
that?
made for bands like that.
Who did Crazy Bitch?
That was Buck Cherry.
Oh.
Talk about a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Chuck Berry. Probably why they named it like that.
Could be.
Yeah, it was decent. I think that now that I'm realizing that it has that tie to Appetite for Destruction, I think it adds a little bit to it.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think it would be better than Patience, which I think is
Right.
I shouldn't compare, but on on an album like this, when there's only like only 3 original songs, it's easy to compare.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I shouldn't, but regardless.
Yep. They had like a nice little steel guitar solo that balanced well off the acoustic guitar. I like that a lot. Yeah, I have a lot more respect for this song now, hearing it against the original. Interesting. I'm gonna have to do a little little recalculation here.
But something we won't need a recalculation for,
yes,
is, in my opinion, my least favorite track, which was
One in a Million.
One in a Million.
Yeah.
If you have not listened to this track before, there are some lyrics that pop up in there.
Some very colorful, suggestive language.
Yeah, he uses some words.
Yes.
Particularly ones that start with N, ones that start with F. Kind of makes, or like talks about how he doesn't want immigrants in his country because they might spread disease. Doesn't want like gay people having sex because it might also spread disease, because I think this was around the time of like the AIDS epidemic. I think actually no, that was like early 90s, but
I mean, this is 88, 89. I mean,
yeah,
I'm thinking, Magic Johnson, that's when he, revealed he had AIDS, because it was before the 92 Olympics for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
This is right in the thick of that. Yeah.
And Axl Rose has denied that he was a racist and defended his use of the N-word, claiming that it's a word to describe someone that is basically a pain in your life or a problem. The word doesn't necessarily mean black, which it's a little tough to make that comparison. I don't want to get too heavy into the political side of things, because that's not what we're really focused on. But I mean, even just on the like on the music, it's just very like repetitive and doesn't really add too much to the overall sound of the album. And it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, especially with the lyrics being so like raunchy, that that's really the only, like, I don't want to say interesting, but like one of like the thing that stands out about it the most in a bad way. So it doesn't really do itself any favors.
No, and this one definitely is sloppy. They're just not tight. The guitars aren't lining up with the beat, and it's just a poorly made song with just not well chosen lyrics. I mean, people say that music is art, and sometimes I argue with rap, like, do you really need to? I know, like, you're portraying your life and life experiences, but if you're trying to cut down on the use of certain words, then maybe they should just not be used at all. But that's, I don't know, that's a topic for another
that is podcast, a whole other kind of thing. Actually, I talked about that a little bit in the Kendrick album blind react that I did. You can go ahead and listen to that, episode 86, previous
I'm halfway through.
It's when I talk about the track Auntie Diaries, which is the third to last track.
Okay, cool. Which, by the way, I want to say on air, Tom, you killed it with that blind react, because
thank you.
You went through literally track by track, and especially people who like Kendrick Lamar, check that out, because he really breaks down every single track. So kudos, Tom. Well done.
Thank you. Even if you don't like Kendrick, it might give you a bigger understanding as to why the music side of the music industry is kind of going crazy over it. So
for sure.
But yeah, no, fuck this song. I don't like this song.
Yep. I don't really know the purpose of this song. It's
not even like something meta where he's talking from a perspective of someone that says something like that. He's literally just saying it, and then later in like on like interviews, he'll be like, "No, I swear I'm not racist."
Yeah. Like, Then according to this, it says several years later, Rose conceded that he had used the word as an insult towards Black people who tried to rob him because the word is a taboo.
And I mean, especially during like the 80s, I think that was when the shift of the N-word started.
Yeah.
But people were still very much using it, even as insults,
Right.
and not getting like completely canceled for it. So
Right.
unfortunately, it was a bit more accepted, but
I was thinking the same thing. Not that that's a good thing. It just was. And
yeah.
now listening to something that's outdated,
And even though it was more accepted at the time, in the context of the song, it's still really racist and like fucked up with all the other things. So I'm okay with never listening to this track ever again.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there you go.
And unfortunately, that's the end of the album.
That's the end of it. 8 songs, just the weirdest combination of things. But
oh boy,
interesting talk nonetheless, and interesting, combination of tracks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into tracks.
Joe, what's your favorite?
My favorite track, Patience.
Call
me right. I mean, call me a sellout, call us a sellout, but it really is a well-made song. It's a well-written song. The arrangement's great. Big fan of it. And it still has that Guns N' Roses like sound, which, by the way, I'm not a huge Guns N' Roses fan either. I love Appetite. I thought it's a great album. I do not like Use Your Illusion. I thought they went way too like experimental and big, and I lost interest. But this has that, Guns N' Roses song. Like it's up there for sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Patience is my number one. It's popular for a reason too. Only knock I could say on it is that it's a bit long. It's almost 6 minutes, but I guess I don't have enough patience. But sorry.
Oh, how long do you have that one?
I thought of that while you were talking about the track. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'll cut that out. Don't worry.
No, leave it in.
I won't.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's great for all the reasons you said.
Yeah, and for its length, like to me anyway, it didn't really feel that long. It progressed nicely. And having that different ending where it built back up, it kind of added a different element into the song that I enjoyed. So, how about your bottom track, Tom?
I kind of spoiled it, but it was One in a Million. And it's not just the lyrics, although they are disgusting and gross. The music just doesn't really add too much to the rest of the 4 new tracks, It just sounds pretty run-of-the-mill. Nothing new or at least interesting is really brought up. It's just kind of repetitive filler. And even in an album like this, the word filler probably shouldn't be used to describe something. So it just wasn't my cup of tea.
I'd say the same. One in a Million. Didn't age well.
No.
And it sloppy. Out of the live tracks, I'd say I think I liked Move to the City least. But One in a Million is my overall least favorite track.
Okay.
So Sleepy Dark Horse.
Sleepy Dark Horse is all you. I think I'm going to agree with you.
This one's tough. I had Reckless Life lined up to be my sleeper. I thought it was a great like live sounding song. It was a good punch, and it was a song I never heard by them, and it was just a good rock song, good mid-tempo song. But I don't know. I think I might have to go tie with You're Crazy after hearing it against the original version and hearing how they made it into like a bluesy kind of slowed down. Really liked it. So
the classic Joe Sod tie.
Classic Joe Sod.
You got so much shit for the Channel Orange one.
I know I did. That was hilarious.
Oh, that was funny.
Sleeper Out of the Lives, Reckless Life. Sleeper out of the acoustics, You're Crazy.
I agree 100%. Yeah. I was probably gonna say Reckless Life or maybe Used to Love Her. But I feel like Used to Love Her is kind of popular enough to not be a sleeper. I mean, it has 38 million streams. So I'm probably going to stay away from that, and I'll go You're Crazy. Just to add with the The fact that it's a cover from Appetite for Destruction, and going back and listening to that added quite a bit of depth to it. So yeah, You're Crazy was pretty good. Although I did like Used to Love Her. I thought that was pretty good too.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And
It
Reckless
got
Life.
sloppy at times though, so it's like not my favorite track to listen to, but when it's on, it's like kind of fun, you know.
Well, I don't think a lot of things on this album were pretty polished.
No.
It sounds like they kind of recorded it they like wrote and recorded in like 2-3 sessions. So
right.
Yeah. But let's drop a hot fat rating on it. How many bops are you giving it, Joe?
I don't particularly like it overall as a release. I think God. I think I'm giving it a 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a mess, hodgepodge collection of songs. And I think I'm giving it a 3 because I like 3 of the songs. Reckless Life, Patience, and You're Crazy. Like, you know, those are my takeaways.
Wow.
But I guess if you go by ratio, 3 divided by 8.
That's right. Yeah.
That's about like a 3.8. Okay, 3.5. There you go. That's it. 3.5.
Round it out.
That's
There
the
you
final
go.
rating. Joe rating.
Boom.
3.5.
Dropped it.
Dropped it.
Wow. I did not think you were gonna go that low, especially for something that you picked. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a little bit more credit, but not a lot of credit. I'm probably gonna give it a 4.5.
Okay.
And for a lot of the same reasons, it was a bit of a hodgepodge, did not have a really strong connection. It did feel like kind of night and day with the live section into the kind of sloppy acoustic slapped together section. But there were some good shining points on it. Patience was great, like we said. Reckless Life, I thought, was a really good live track, even though it wasn't a live track. I think that kind of took some points off for me too. I was probably going to give it like a 5.5, 6, and then I was like, oh well, it's not even really live. Then why the fuck would you even put them out and record it?
Right.
But You're Crazy, I thought was really good, especially adding that kind of cover version of it as well. And I thought Used to Love Her was pretty decent, but like I said, 1 in a million. No thank you. And the other 3 live tracks were decent, but like not enough to warrant a whole half of an album being live. But I thought, I'm probably not gonna come back to this anytime soon.
Nah.
But I don't think it was as egregious as, you know, like a 3.5. But I understand why you put it there. So yeah, about a 4.5, I'd say. Nothing really tickles my
didn't
goose.
excite me.
No, my goose went untickled.
Yes. Very soft right now. Very soft.
Oh yeah. Not even quarter mass.
No, not even quarter chub. Nothing. Nope.
Anyway,
how about speaking of chub? How about Fat Tire?
Where's your chub meter at on this drink?
Should we change our rating system? Chubs and bubs.
Chubs and buds. Doesn't really rhyme, but it kind of does.
Fat Tire, New Belgium.
Yes. It's good. It's definitely a good beer. I can understand why I wouldn't like it when I was a teenager, because it's not necessarily for the kids.
Well, it is illegal, Tom.
Well, yeah, but
you're employed now.
Listen, so you know what? So is huffing freaking the asbestos. Yeah, that's definitely illegal. But I was doing both at the same time, so cuff me, I guess. I don't know. But it's anyway. Fat Tire has warmed up to me. Not necessarily a crazy amount. I'm not head over heels for it, but it's something solid. And if you gave it to me, I would drink it. But again, I'm probably not going to finish a whole 6-pack, which is in my fridge. So I'm probably going to have to figure out what to do with them. But
classic, bring it to a party and leave it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I still have a 4 Loko hard seltzer in my fridge too. Maybe we could do that as like a punishment,
There you go.
I like it. Anyway, my rating, I'll give it like a 6.5. It was good, but I wouldn't seek it out too much, but decent.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I'm going to give it a 7. You know, I'm just a hair above you. It's a good drinker. You know, not a bad aftertaste, and you know, I don't really feel full from it. It's not overwhelming. Solid beer, well made. You know what you're getting, like we said before. You know, reputable brand too in New Belgium. You know, they make good beers. And yeah, so I'm going to give it a 7. And this is kind of like one of those other style of beers that I do like from time to time.
Yeah, we don't really do too many amber ales, so it's good to kind of change it up a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Shout
Episode.
'em
Shout
out.
him out. Shout him out, please. Please.
Yes.
You have it ready, I believe.
I do. Finally.
We have a cutaway.
Yes, we have New Belgium Brewing. They are out of Fort Collins, Colorado, and their Instagram handle is just New Belgium, one word.
Colorado.
Check them out.
That.
What's that?
I
Colorado.
didn't know they're Colorado. Cool.
Yep. And then we have Guns N' Roses. It's Guns N, like the letter N, and then
Yes.
Rose,
Yep.
their Instagram handle, and they're pretty active. Like they have a story up right now, and they have recent posts. I think they're on tour right now. So what's Hard School? I'm just looking at their.
Yeah, they're still putting out music like now.
Yep. They put out that Chinese Democracy that was like in limbo for a decade. They finally put it out, and I don't know if they're on tour now or they were like last year, but like Slash and Duff McKagan rejoined, which was a huge deal because, you know, they were deemed a band that would never reunite, and, you know, and they did. Cool. Anyway, there you go.
Episode 88, I think.
88.
I believe this is 87. Yes, 88 is my choice of EP. And this album, or Jesus Christ, in this EP, we're doing one kind of goes back a little bit for me. It is In Tongues by 𝙁𝙖. The first time I'm going to bring a 𝙁𝙖 project to the podcast. I'm very excited because I really do enjoy him. He has a very interesting history that we can go into. 2017 release. And to pair with that, we have the new Two Roads beer that's being pushed heavily by them. It is the Toucan beer. It's an easy ale, kind of in collaboration with the University of Connecticut, and we are going to try it out. Yeah, go Huskies.
Yeah,
we're going to try them out, see how it goes, and yeah,
good shit.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So right back here in 1 week.
Well, I'll see you there. We'll wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
Record at the same time.
Yep. Same facial hair length.
Yeah. Make sure you keep it the exact same level.
Okay. Sounds
Appreciate
good.
it.
Little podcast magic. All right. Sounds good. Well, that wraps it for this edition of the Hops and Bops podcast. Check us out on all the streaming platforms, wherever you get your podcasts, and follow us on the socials. We're on them all: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Check us out, hop on board, and excited to keep this thing going. We're getting close to episode 100, which is pretty cool. Excited. Yeah, me too. I hope we can, plan something good. I know we've talked about some ideas. Cool, good shit. For Tom, I've been Joe, and we'll see you next episode.
Peace.